She cleaned his office every night, but she never knew the CEO was secretly watching her. At exactly 10:45 p.m., when the last executive had gone home and the city outside began to breathe more slowly, the elevator doors slid open on the 42nd floor of Zenith Towers. Jade Kim stepped out quietly. She adjusted the loose sleeves of her faded cleaning uniform, tugging them down to hide her thin wrists. The fabric had been washed too many times. It no longer fit properly. Nothing in her life did. This floor was different. The air smelled cleaner, colder, more expensive. Glass walls stretched endlessly, reflecting lights she pretended not to see. Polished marble floors echoed even the softest footsteps. This was the executive floor, a place no one like her was meant to linger. Jade lowered her gaze, just as she always did. She pushed her cleaning cart forward, eyes fixed on the floor, shoulders slightly hunched, moving with the careful precision of someone who had learned how not to be noticed. Because long ago, life had taught her a simple truth. Being invisible was safer. Every night, she followed the same routine. Hallway first, conference room second, offices last. No mistakes, no delays, no curiosity. She never looked at her reflection in the glass walls, not even when they mirrored her movement like silent witnesses. She never touched anything that wasn't part of her job, never paused to admire the view, never smiled at the security cameras watching from above. She did her work quietly and disappeared. That was the plan. What Jade didn't know was that someone had begun to notice her silence. Alexander Lim had everything the world admired. At 27, he was already a billionaire, CEO of Zenith Group, feared in boardrooms, respected by rivals, envied by men twice his age. During the day, his life was war, numbers, contracts, power plays, endless meetings filled with sharp voices and sharper smiles. But at night, the building emptied, and so did he. The lights stayed on in his office long after everyone else left. Not because he was working, but because he had nowhere he wanted to go. His apartment was too quiet, his life too controlled, his success too loud. So he stayed. And that was when he noticed her. At first, it wasn't interest. It was curiosity, a presence moving through his world without asking for anything. She didn't glance at his office, didn't straighten her posture when she passed, didn't even know who he was. She simply worked. And one night, as Alexander stared absently at the city through his glass wall, something unexpected happened. A sound floated through the hallway. Soft, broken, human. She was humming. It wasn't a perfect tune. It cracked in places, paused where breath ran out, picked up again like a heart refusing to stop beating. Old songs, sad songs, songs that sounded like survival. Alexander froze. The noise unsettled him, not because it was loud, but because it was real. In a world where everyone performed for him, this girl didn't even know he was listening. He found himself waiting for the sound every night after that. Listening. Watching. Not with desire. Not with intention. But with something far more dangerous. Peace. One night, as wiped Jade down a glass table, her reflection passed across the wall beside her. She didn't look at it. She never did. Behind the glass, hidden by shadow, Alexander watched her reflection instead. The way she moved carefully. The way she paused to rub her tired wrist. The way she leaned her weight slightly when she thought no one could see. For the first time in years, Alexander asked himself a question he had avoided. Why does her presence feel like home? As always, Jade cleaned his office last. The largest room, the coldest room, the quietest room. The massive desk sat like a throne. The leather chair faced the city like a king surveying his kingdom. Lights glittered endlessly beyond the glass. She moved slowly, exhaustion finally catching up with her. She didn't know someone was sitting in the shadows, watching her reflection move across the glass walls. She finished, checked the corners, wiped the desk, straightened the chair. Then she turned to leave. Her shoe slipped, just slightly. But it was enough. Time stretched, the cart tilted, the bucket tipped. Her balance vanished. In that suspended moment between standing and falling, Jade felt the familiar fear rise in her chest. The fear of pain, of punishment, of being seen. She hit the floor hard. The sound echoed through the office. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then, a shadow moved. Jade opened her eyes and saw a man stepping out of the darkness. Who was he? And why had he been watching her all along? Jade's breath caught in her throat. The pain from the fall throbbed through her hip and shoulder, but it was nothing compared to the fear flooding her chest. The lights above blurred as her eyes struggled to focus. Then she saw him. A tall figure stepped forward from the shadows of the office, moving slowly, deliberately, like someone who had no reason to rush. Her heart slammed violently. A man. Here. At this hour. She scrambled backward instinctively, palms slipping against the polished floor. Her voice trembled as she spoke. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to. I'll clean it. I'll fix everything. Her words tumbled over each other, panic tightening her throat. In her world, accidents were not forgiven. They were punished. The man stopped a few steps away. Don't move. His voice was calm, deep, controlled. It wasn't angry. That confused her more than fear ever could. Alexander had not planned this moment. The sound of her fall had ripped him from stillness, his body moving before his mind could catch up. Now she was on the floor in front of him, small, shaken, very real. Up close, she looked younger than he had imagined. Tired eyes, bruised knuckles, a faint cut on her lip she probably hadn't noticed yet. Guilt twisted sharply in his chest. I'm not going to hurt you, he said quietly. Jade froze. She stared at him, really stared, for the first time. The expensive suit, the sharp features, the quiet authority in the way he stood. Her breath hitched. You're the CEO, she whispered. Alexander's jaw tightened. Yes. The word landed between them like a wall. Jade's face drained of color. I'm sorry, she said again, faster now, desperate. I didn't know anyone was here. I'll clean the floor again, I promise. Please don't report me. Her voice broke at the last word. Alexander felt something crack inside him. Report you, he echoed. She nodded quickly, eyes lowered. I can't lose this job. Silence stretched. Then Alexander did something no one ever expected him to do. He knelt. The movement stunned her. A billionaire CEO, kneeling on the same floor she had just fallen on. You're bleeding, he said gently, pointing to her lip. She touched it, flinching when her fingers came away red. I'm fine, she murmured. It's nothing. He stood and crossed to his desk, retrieving a first aid kit from a drawer. When he returned, he hesitated. May I? He asked. She nodded slowly. His touch was careful, respectful. Nothing like the harsh world she was used to. He cleaned the cut, his fingers barely brushing her skin. Why do you work so late? He asked quietly. Jade swallowed. Because the pay is better. It was only half a lie. Alexander studied her in silence. So, he said finally, you clean this floor every night? Yes, sir. And you hum. Her eyes widened. I'm sorry, she said quickly. I didn't realize. Don't stop, he said. She looked up, startled. It's peaceful, he admitted. The words surprised them both. Jade looked down again, unsure what to say. You don't look at the cameras, he continued, or the glass, or the view. She shrugged faintly. Looking makes people think you don't belong. That sentence stayed with him. Alexander offered her a glass of water. She hesitated, then accepted it with both hands. You can sit, he said, gesturing to the couch. She sat carefully, like someone afraid of leaving marks. I owe you an apology, he said. Her eyes flickered up. I shouldn't have been watching you. The honesty caught her off guard. But, he continued, you reminded me what quiet feels like. She didn't understand that yet, but she felt something shift. When her shift ended, Alexander walked her to the elevator. No one had ever done that before. As the doors closed, she glanced back at him, confusion and curiosity swirling in her eyes. He watched until the elevator disappeared. For the first time in years, Alexander went home. And the silence didn't feel quite as heavy, but neither of them knew. That one quiet moment would change both their lives forever.